Alright, we're back at it. We got about 2 weeks left of new material this week and next week, and then you'll have a little extra time to make up any missing work or any of that. So we got two more main topics here. We're going to look at log properties this week, and then we're going to look at equations next week, as many as we can. Pretty basics of it. But yeah, let's look at the properties first. First property is the big property that we already kind of mentioned a couple weeks back. Is just the rewriting from log to exponential form or vice versa. A couple other things that we need to note. This will come into play next week a little bit more, but if we have a calculator stuff, log base calculator works in log base 10, and they just write it. It's understood when there's no base, it's base 10, so it's just written as a log of x. Now another thing is a natural log, the ln. So log base e is actually natural log of x, so we just call it the natural log of x instead of calling it log base e. We give it its own thing, or its own notation. So let's get a little extra look at rewriting back and forth. So here I just have log of 100 equals 2. Remember, if there is no base, it's going to be base 10. So in exponential form, this should be 10 squared equals 100. I don't need to see this portion here. It's just something we got to remember. We got to remember that it's log base 10. One that we know, it's already in that form. We got our base, log base 4 of 64 equals 3, so it'd be 4 cubed equals 64. That's it. Now, last one we got to remember here. Natural log of 1 equals 0. Natural log of 1 is technically log base e of 1 equals 0. So this would be written as e to the 0 equals 1. So remember the first and the third one. I'm going to throw a couple of these on the worksheet again. Those, again, should be pretty easy with it. Exponential log form, nothing really to write here. First two are just 100% review from a couple weeks back. Log base 5 of 25 equals 2. Log base 6 of 136 equals -2. Now, thing here on the last one, we have two answers that I would 100% take. I prefer the natural log one, so we could have log base e of 23.46 equals 2.6, or the preferred answer would be natural log of 23.46 equals 2.6. But that would be my preferred answer there. But I would 100% take both. I wouldn't mark anything wrong. You just need to be familiar with both notations, that's all. Alright, all the other properties. Property 1, we've already talked about. Property 5 is not going to come into play this week. I'm just writing it so I have all the properties in one spot. This will probably come into play next week with equations. We're going to be focusing on properties 2, 3, and 4. So if you have log base b of m times n, we technically have two terms within it, or two pieces. We can split that up into two log terms, log base b of m plus log base b of n. Log base b of m over n, we just do the opposite. We just subtract. Anything on the bottom is going to be subtracted. I'll make note of that in the next couple of slides here. And then with the exponents, when we have log, this is going to be a big one with equations next week. When we have log base b of m to the p, we can move that exponent out front, so it would be p times log base b of m. These are just some properties that help us solve equations. So it's going to seem a little monotonous this week. Nothing crazy. There's no end game this week. These should come into play next week depending on how deep we get into the equations, but we'll kind of see. But these are just basic properties that we need to be aware of and need to know how to expand and condense these. So first couple slides, I'm going to give us forms that look like the left side here, and then we're going to what I call expand it. So we're going to expand it into a longer expression. So let's check these out. Let's go one by one. So I'm going to look at each property by themselves to start. So log base, or log of 2xy, is basically property number 2 in action. This is just me color coding and separating it for you guys to kind of see a little bit better note-wise. there's absolutely no need to rewrite this. We technically have three pieces within the log term. We have one log term, but we have three pieces within it. It's 2 times an x times a y. So when you expand it, it gets expanded into 3 log terms. We have log base 2, or sorry, log of 2. Technically it's base 10. I'm not going to give you any bases on these. There's no need to remember to rewrite those. So it's going to be log of 2 plus, since it's multiplication, log of x, plus, since it's multiplication again, log of y. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Expanding is just that. There's really no work involved in this. I'm going to kind of combine some steps into one. But again, there's no steps in this. The second one here is going to use the third property. So I technically have 2 pieces within this one log term. I have a 3 and an x. 3 is on top, x is on the bottom. So I'm dividing, so I'm going to use subtraction. Big thing here is what I tell you to keep in mind. So I have log of 3 minus log of x is final answer. That's it. Nothing crazy. Anything on the bottom of the fraction will be subtracted. I don't care what order it's in or anything like that. Anything that's on the bottom will be subtracted. So keep that in mind. Last one, just solo property. So this is property number 4 on the list. I technically have 2 pieces. I have 1 piece, but that piece has an exponent. That's all. So I have a piece of x to the 5th, and the exponent is 5. So all that's saying is I can move that exponent out front. That's all it's saying. All right. Just move the exponent out front, like I said there. All right. Those are each of the properties individually. So properties 2, 3, and 4 individually. Let's work on combining these. So if you look at number 4, this has multiplication and exponents. So I split up the pieces again. I technically have 3 pieces. 2 of the pieces have exponents. Log of 5 times x to the 4th times y to the 3rd. I expanded. I am doing 2 things at once. I expand it, it's all multiplication, so it's all addition. I'm also moving the exponents out front of each term. So that log of x, so I'm kind of skipping a step here. Alright, so just keep that in mind. Alright, I am skipping a step, but I'm doing it all at once, and you'll see me do that pretty consistently here. Next one. So we got that. Got all my pieces. Log of 4 times x plus 2 squared all over y to the 4th z. So I technically only have 4 terms. This is the first time I have a binomial in here, an x plus 2 squared. That is technically one term. The x is not a single term and 2 is not a single term. The whole thing, x plus 2, is one term, or one piece. So I am multiplying. Anything up top is positive. Anything on the bottom is subtracted. Alright, so just keep that in mind. I make note of that there again. Anything on top of the fraction will be added. Anything on the bottom of the fraction will be subtracted. This is a mix of all 3 properties that we focus on today. Alright, so it's minus 4 log of y minus log of z on the bottom. Even though the y and z are being multiplied on the bottom, it's on the bottom, so you subtract it. Keep it as simple as that. It's on the bottom, subtract. Top, add. Simple as that. Let's look at one more like this, and then we'll look at just a couple condensing. I think condensing is a little bit easier. Got all my 4 pieces. This is just a very similar problem to the last one, just kind of flipped. Up top is positive, or being added. Bottom is being subtracted. Simple as that. So I have 3 log of x plus 4 log of y for the top. So plus, everything's positive, minus log of 5 minus 2 log of x minus 3. Have your reminder there again. So just keep that all in mind, please. Condensing. Alright, anything up top will be added, so we're just going the opposite here. Anything added will be on top of the fraction. Anything being subtracted or negative is on the bottom of the fraction. Keep it as simple as that. So, we have our expression. We're working backwards. Log of x plus 2 log of y minus 3 log of z. You move the exponents back. Numbers go out front, go back to the exponent. You can do that in whatever steps you want. I'm combining it. The first thing I write in these problems is log and then a fraction bar. I know I have a fraction bar because there is subtraction involved. So that means something's on the bottom. And then I just put everything where it needs to go. So we'll look at my final answer here in a second. So log of x is positive, so I'm putting it up top. Y squared is another term. It's positive, so I put it up top. Z cubed, it's negative or it's being subtracted, so I put it on the bottom. That's it. That's my answer. Positive up top, negative on the bottom. Okay? Same deal. Remember, exponents go back. Then notice here, the negative's not going with the exponent. Alright, the negative just tells you it just goes on the bottom. And I made note of that there. It just goes on the bottom, that's all it is. So, we have 4 terms. First thing you write is log and a fraction bar because I do have subtraction. So, the x squared is a negative, so it's going on the bottom. The x minus 2, the out front of that is a positive, so that's going up top. The y is negative as well, so that moves to the bottom. Z squared is positive, so I'm moving that to the top. I like my parentheses last, so I'm putting it in that order. It can be in this order. I don't care. Alright? It won't really matter the order. I'm focused on exponents being there, and if it's in the correct spot, top or bottom. Alright? Just keep that in mind. Alright, that's what I'm focused on. One more, just because. A little bit of everything here again. Got exponents going back. Now, notice in the last problem and in this problem, it doesn't matter the order. If it's negative, it's on the bottom. Positive, it's up top. That's all it is. All right, keep it as simple as that. So, looking at this, I have an x to the 4th. That's negative. It's going on the bottom. Y squared, also negative. Bottom. I have a 2 that's negative. Minus log of 2. That's going on the bottom as well. I like my constants out front, so you're going to see me. I'd prefer that, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. Again, I'm looking for the correct exponents and correct top or bottom. That's it. Then the x minus 3 is x minus 1 cubed is positive, so that whole thing goes up top. And that's it. All right. I'm not going to give answers this week because the answers are the work. There is no work involved. I'm not looking for any work this week. I just need answers, and I'll make note of that in the comments. But that's about it. Hope you guys have a good week, and if you guys have any questions, obviously let me know.